We could do anything. But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I am A-Train Bets, and I do data-driven sports betting with an advantage. And this series, we're helping you become a sharp sports bettor through understanding the tools that OddsJam provides, but also just good techniques for evaluating and placing sharper sports bets. And today I want to talk a little bit about market width. Market width is something that is, I think, it's a concept that a lot of people don't really understand, and it's really crucial to understanding how to place bets. So if we're here in the OddsJam positive expected value screen, you'll see width over here on the side. And so if you're using the positive EV screen, and OddsJam has tons of videos on what this is and how you use it. I have some of my own. You could certainly watch me use it on my live streams every Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. Central. And we'll go in and place a lot of bets with this tool. But I think it's important to understand the mechanics behind a lot of this and why width is so important, because it's not evident, I think, a lot of the time for new people. So if you come in here, I mean, width on the positive EV screen, there is a little explanation. So it's a sports bettors use market width to help narrow down opportunities to bets where sports books are much more confident in their lines. The optimum width should be between 20 and 25. And you can find out more about market width. There's additional videos and all of that. And so I just want to provide this from my voice to understand how I think about market width. And maybe this will help you a little bit as well, because I use the EV page a lot during my live streams, but I also think it's important to understand really where this comes from, and maybe the way I explain it will be useful to you. So in this case, we're just looking at this first. This is a nice, healthy, positive EV bet that you can place. I already placed it, so I'm not worried about chasing this one down. When we see the width of 30, what that means is it's kind of the difference in line that you have here. Now you can use, so OddsJam provides, if we scroll up here, OddsJam provides a whole bunch of different calculators that can help you understand different aspects of what the bets are. I find that they are very useful in helping to understand different facets of it, but they aren't necessarily super fast to use when you're in the midst of placing sports bets, right? So what I have here is, I call this the A-Train Bets Money Machine. All this is a spreadsheet. All this does is combines some of the calculators that OddsJam has, and it allows me to look at things in ways that I can evaluate bets very quickly. And one of those things is the market width. So ignore a lot of what's going on here. I really want to just focus in on the market width that you see on the Money Machine in this particular video. And what I want to show you is the market width calculation in the bet that we were looking at down below. Is Pinnacle has this as a minus 211 and 181. This is what is driving the width calculation, at least most of the time for OddsJam, is the Pinnacle lines, because they're the sharpest book, and they're a good starting point for the gauge of the true market odds that should be available. So in this case, because Pinnacle, and the way Pinnacle became the sharpest book is by having the most competitive lines and the lowest VIG under most circumstances, right? And so in this case, let's just do, if Pinnacle were the only bet out there on this particular bet, the EV percentage of placing these wagers is minus 3.3% on both sides. And so that's where the house advantage for Pinnacle comes from. We won't get bogged down in the specifics of the math, but what you need to understand is that sports books set prices in such a way that they can make money on people taking either of those sides based on the true likelihood of an event occurring. But what that allows us as sharp sports bettors to do is then use the knowledge that of what a sharp book like Pinnacle is saying about the market to our advantage, and finding ways to find better pricing at different books that will allow us to bet with an advantage. So in this case, we can see that the break-even point for a bet with these lines are going to be plus or minus. So now here's where it gets a little bit confusing. If we were using only Pinnacle, the plus or minus would be at minus 190 or plus 190. But OddsJam has an algorithm behind the scenes where they're factoring much more than just the Pinnacle lines. And so the no vig odds that they are using tempers some of the Pinnacle sole Pinnacle source. And they're looking at other sharp sports books. They're assessing the market with a more complex algorithm than simply looking at Pinnacle. And they've determined, okay, the no-vig odds for this are plus or minus 198.83. Okay. So that's where by having a plus 210 bet available at FanDuel, we can see there is a healthy amount of EV because that 210 is bigger than plus 198. The key to this, though, is to understand the width has an impact on the amount of VIG, and that has an impact on the lines that we are going to ultimately take in relation to the no VIG odds. So if we see a width of 30, that's relatively high. And that's, like they said in this particular state, a typical width might be a minus 110 and a minus 110, right? And so at those odds, if we're taking either side of that bet, we have a negative EV because obviously they're going to be making money on that calculation. So that's where if we wanted to have a true 0 plus or minus 100, that would be exactly 50-50, 100-100. I bet $5, you bet $5. Whoever wins. That is 50-50 odds. That's exactly how it all kind of neutralizes, right? So in this case, the width is a gauge of the confidence. So in some cases, you're going to see something like minus 105. So to minus 105, you're going to see a 10 width. You could also see, maybe they have a plus 105 and a minus 115. So you have a width of 10 because, again, it's different. So it's factoring in the pluses and minuses. But so if you had a width of 10 here, now if you were able to find, plus 100 on either side, on one side it's very negative, on the other side it's very positive. That's how all of a sudden that width and that level of confidence kind of leads to opportunities to place positive EV wagers. So with not a perfect criteria, but does give you a sense of like, if that width is dropping below 20, they're extra confident. If it's above 20, they're less than extra confident. If it's above 40, they're not very confident at all. And they're not trying to provide the most competitive line because they're not sure where that line should be. And so sometimes that's due to it's a relatively rare bet that people are making, or maybe there's conflicting information in the market. Pinnacle has their magic. They're spending millions of dollars a year on coming up with these lines. And so when we can see, hey, they are extra confident, their width is going to be lower. The amount of house advantage they're taking on the action that they are placing is less. And so they are going to be more confident in the lines that they're setting. So we're more confident in their representation of truth. So then we're more confident in the bets we're going to make based on that version of truth. So when you come into a positive EV screen, or if you start using a calculator or multiple calculators to try to assess different market opportunities, all you have to know is that any positive EV betting is predicated on a comparison between the lines, the numbers you can actually get, these book odds. So in this case, we can get a minus 211 and plus 210, and our implied or our odds over on Pinnacle in this case are this. Now, these don't match up to what we have at the OddsJam screen because it's a different calculation. They're not using Pinnacle. They're using something more sophisticated than Pinnacle to determine their no VIG line. Now, I could probably get close to it by saying, okay, well, this is actually going to be like 170, and then this is going to be we could try to figure this out, right? Where we could say, okay, well, it's maybe minus 200 up there, and then we're getting to 180, so we want to go the other direction. So this is 180. Now we see 186. Okay, this could be 190. We do 190, and so we're trying to figure out, okay, what are the odds that they're really working with? So this is maybe minus 220. Yeah, so we're getting close. So now we have a implied odds of minus 199.38 versus their minus 198.83. So the OddsJam algorithmic lines could be somewhere in the neighborhood of minus 220 and plus 190. It's probably not. It's actually probably substantially different than that. But for us, now we can start to see, all right, why would we place one bet or another? But you can see this is getting much closer. This this plus 210 that we actually can get at Leicester City is closer to the recommended bet size because now we have a no VIG line that's closer. And so that's how the OddsJam algorithm is working behind the scenes. I don't know what makes up the OddsJam algorithm. All I know is that they're taking a more sophisticated approach to the different sharp books that they see out in the marketplace. It's looking at that variance and coming up with a line on this no VIG odds that we can then base our betting on top of to be able to have positive EV wagers. And so this is where width becomes such an important consideration because here we still have a width of 30, but we know that there's a fair degree of confidence there. If we look at another example, I mean, you can see in this example, we see a market width of 17. So we can look and see, yep, sure enough, we see a -101 and a -116 on Pinnacle. Those add together to give us a width of 17, right? So it's if it's a two negatives, you add them. If it's a negative and positive, you take the difference. I mean, that's pretty much how it works. And that's, it isn't a perfect gauge, but it is a really helpful one, because now in this circumstance, we know, hey, Pinnacle's pretty darn confident. And when Pinnacle's pretty darn confident, we're getting a +105 at DraftKings on this particular wager. That's pretty good. Like, that is one where we're like, you get pretty excited about this one, right? And so that's where, when you see high degrees of confidence and high outliers with a high percentage, that's when you're like, let's get that money down, baby. So that's where hopefully this width, and talking about the A-Train Bets money machine, like, don't worry about the money machine, though I would happily give it to you if you use my link to sign up to OddsJam. It's more about saying, how does the math underneath work? And can you wrap your head around that, and then start to understand those nuances in such a way that you can assess these markets quickly and then take action? Because really everything that you want to do from an analytical perspective has to drive to, do I place one side or the other? Do I place no bet? And that you have three decisions. Do I place no bet? Do I place one bet? Do I place the other bet? And then secondary decision for two of those, how much? How much do I place? And so everything that you want to think about quantitatively should help you arrive at that decision as to whether or not you want to place a bet. And then once you can assess that, once you can place that bet, then you can move on to the next one. Again, this is what we do in the live stream every single weekday morning, because it's through that repetition that you can see all of these ins and outs and details. This is another video to try to help you understand some of the theory and the philosophy behind it, in a lot of ways, so that I'm not explaining it every morning to all the same people that are watching live stream. I want you to be able to understand some of these things so that you can understand the basics, go see how it's applied in many different circumstances, and then start using it yourself. Picking up OddsJam, getting accounts at sportsbooks, maximizing the sign-up bonuses, and starting to build your own portfolio of advantage play wagering. And that's really where you're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of success with OddsJam. And take it from me, I mean, 100 days ago, I was signing up for OddsJam not knowing what I was going to get myself into, and spending a couple months doing nothing but just trying to learn, placing the bets, and understanding how they all fit together to create real long-term profits. I mean, you should be skeptical. Don't believe everything I'm saying just because it sounds good. Understand the math. Understand why this works. Understand why, if you can get the right prices, that's so much more important than trying to decide, do I think the Lakers are going to win today? I mean, like, you start to realize, oh my goodness, it's such a fallacy to think I can outthink the market on what's going to happen. Don't try to predict the future. Use the math and use the tools that you have to understand when the math will tell you in the long run, this is going to make you money. And that's where, once you get your head around that, you realize, oh, I've been betting the wrong way my whole life. And that's where I'm coming in to say, hey, I've learned this. I was fortunate enough that I happen to have a career where I could connect some of these dots. Now I want to help everybody connect those dots, because if we do that, then we can evolve how sports betting works in a way that's productive for everybody. And that's really, I think, an important goal to have, because we now have sports books at major league sporting stadiums. I mean, I went to the United Center in Chicago one time, and there's a FanDuel sportsbook there. You can't place bets there yet, but you will someday, and you can certainly use your app. And it's like, when we're at that point, when there's sports betting options at the stadiums, we need to make sure that industry is operating in such a way that people are getting a fair shake. And really what I want to see is, hey, let's bet smart, so we can bet more and we can make more money, and we can have that nice Disney vacation with the family that we can make for our side hustle. It's a lot better than losing money betting and calling it entertainment. I'd rather win money betting and call that entertainment, because to me, that's entertaining. So with that, thank you all for checking out this video. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you understand market width a little bit better. Certainly there's better videos for understanding all the nuances of the calculations, understanding the tools and the calculators that OddsJam has. I think that this is just one way I want to verbalize the way I think about these things, because I think perhaps the way I think about them may resonate with some of you in a way that some of the other videos just don't connect. I mean, I'll never forget, I was studying for a test I needed to take, and the book that I had, I just didn't get, and I was terrible. And then I found another book, and then it taught me in a way that made more sense to me. And that, to me, is what I'm trying to do here. Hopefully, this gives you a sense of some of the things that you can do with OddsJam, some of the things that are available, and hopefully we will have more of these videos. And so please like and subscribe, sign up for OddsJam, and let me know if there's things that you would like me to talk about or videos you would like to see, and I will try to prioritize that. Got a lot of videos coming out. Thank you for supporting the channel, and good luck betting. Take care, everybody.